Hey everyone, welcome to episode 4 of On the Paper Trail, where we are on site and backstage at the 2026 California Pen Show.
Sometimes we aren't even sure how we get here, how we pack, how we handle the staging, how we handle just every aspect of getting to a pen show and what goes into it. And what you're going to hear is a little bit of background noise.
You may hear in the background the sounds of people setting up because we're literally backstage, meaning we're in the hallway behind the grand ballroom on Thursday night before a Friday start show. And we have people moving their tables and displays and product all into the ballroom and are getting the show set up while we're here recording. You may hear some banging noises and people talking in the background, and that's because we wanted to bring it to you authentically.
There's nothing but authentic, right? I mean, we did a little bit of a live kind of showing us packing just a little, like a smidge into what goes on for the pen show packing process. But there was steps that happened even after that live. We both had our suitcases were too full.
Both of us had overweight bags. So at a show like this where we're flying, and both of us flew to the California Pen Show because it's a 2 to 3 day drive if we otherwise decided to get in the car and haul it. We had 2 bags each, 50-pound weight limit, and a table to fill with stuff that we hope people want to see. We think we chose well, and we think we'll have good tables tomorrow, but that's part of the fun of planning a pen show and deciding what from your entire inventory to bring with you.
Yeah, you're trying to pack a couple thousand square feet into 6 feet.
A 6 foot long table, like a 6 by 2 table.
It's kind of a fun adventure, but it's also challenging. And we're choosing not to set up right now because there's no security tonight. Like, I think that's another challenge that we have to address. Is like some people choose to set up and they'll lock this, but there's no security here.
No, and that's a risk, like a risk rewards scenario that people it's a calculation they have to make on their own because can you set up in the 3 hours on Friday morning before the show opens to the public? I think it may even be 2 hours tomorrow. I think we can because we have one table each and, relatively small setups, simple setups, but some people bring full displays, tabletop displays. Some people have 3 to 4 tables.
Up to 7 or 8 tables even.
Uh-huh.
And some people have traveled from another country. So, you know, like Galen, they have 4 tables and they have quite a bit to set up. They can't do that in 2 hours, and people will be attacking their tables before it's even started.
I believe tomorrow, California Pen Show vendor setup, just to give you all an idea of the setup schedule, vendors are allowed into the ballroom at 7 in the morning. The show opens to vendors and weekend pass holders at 9 and the general public at 10. Some of the bigger shows and the busier shows, you sometimes do find yourself in the unfortunate situation of still unpacking your suitcases and setting up your table and having people come by and start grabbing stuff off the table and starting to shop while you're still unpacking.
And even vendors are shopping while we're trying to unpack
Mhm.
typically, like, especially at the bigger shows. We'll be doing it too. We're guilty of it. Like, the only time you can shop is before the show really
Before the
opens.
show, yeah, or in the bar the night before. I mean, I've had a couple people ask me to bring stuff down for them tonight, so that they can see it because they won't be able to get away from their table tomorrow. And that's part of the reason why the two of us decided just to do a one table show. Maybe sell everything on Saturday and have some time on Saturday night or Sunday to actually roam the show and do some video for y'all and film some stuff and walk around. We're going to do something similar to what we did with our pilot trip. We snuck into the ballroom when we weren't supposed to today and kind of filmed the entire thing empty to give you a sense of how big this show is, because this is a pretty sizable pen show, wouldn't you say?
It seems like it's crime too. All these halls are
It
taken up.
It has. I mean, it's a show with one giant ballroom. They then have an atrium outside that they've gradually filled up with tables. And then there's another smaller room, like a third ballroom in the front.
It's pretty small.
It's
Well, actually, no. I was told that other small room is like
okay.
so it's actually added on.
This show is growing. It's a very good sized show up there with DC and San Francisco. But in terms of, planning for a pen show, how do you pick what to bring to stock your table at a pen show?
Trends. I mean, how about you? I'm looking at the trends and what I see people wanting and interested in, and I'm going to bring the newest things that people seem to request, because I take requests in advance and that helps guide me to the things I like like my favorite things right now I'm gonna bring with me.
I think that's part of it. Trends are part of it too. I also try to look at it from the perspective of of all the things I carry, what are the things that I think people need to see in person to truly appreciate? Because there's certain things that you can't really portray accurately online. Especially a lot of the paper things. You want people to see paper in
You wanna
person.
touch it to have the like, to get
Mhm.
a sense of the texture of it as well. Yeah, I agree with that. And then certain types of even leathers, like, if you enjoy the smell, there's just certain things that you like, I think, those of us who are tactile, do enjoy. I agree with that for sure. But then you still have just so many feet to put this in.
And part of it is too, like, you also have to think about what will sell because if you bring it, you don't necessarily want to haul it back. And what is going to be popular and what's going to be easy for people to take home because a lot of people are flying home as well and they're going to have weight limits in their suitcase. So maybe the 5 pound, 400-page notebook isn't the best thing. I mean, first of all, I don't know how you're going to bring that to the show, bring more than a couple of those to the show because it'll eat
Because
your
you're gonna have
entire
your
weight.
weight.
Yeah, it'll eat your entire weight limit up. But a lot of people will look at that and they'll say, well, I would love to buy that, but I'll just order it online later because I can't get it in my suitcase to bring it home.
Well, I think that goes back to us packing. Some people ship things here, and some people ship things home too that they've bought. But there's a point where it's not worth it financially whenever it comes to shipping merchandise to get here for the show.
That's kind of something too, though, that I think people need to understand because we get a lot of questions. Well, I went to the show and I came to your table, but you didn't have XYZ. And, maybe talk a little bit about the cost aspect of it because some of the stuff, like you said, is difficult to get here.
I think we can talk about the heavy things, especially whenever you're shipping it, you're spending quite a bit to ship it here, and there's not a lot of profit built into some of these things. And so when you do the shipping here, and then there's fees at these hotels. The hotels themselves have delivery fees. I think here it's $30 a box.
I thought it was 100.
It's $100 like over 50 pounds, I think, or
Okay.
something. Under a 50 pounds, it's like 30. So, and it's $30 per day that they store it. That's
So
what I don't understand.
that can add up if you don't have great insight into
Which is
when you're
part of why people are
packing.
trying to save up tonight. It's like, save me that $30 from tonight's hotel bill.
It,
And if you had 3 boxes, that's $90.
And you also don't have a whole lot of control over when those boxes get delivered. I mean, they can be delivered 3 days before the show, in which case you're paying $30 a box to store it. The other cost issue that people don't realize is we get charged for the Wi-Fi in the ballroom at some shows. They'll charge us $40 a day or 45, $50 for the weekend just so we're able to process payments. So there's a lot of little show charges that will eat into a vendor's budget, which affects how you plan for a pen show.
Absolutely. And so there's the cost of tables. There's the cost of the help that you need to have both at home and here. There's the cost of just like not just transportation, but the details that go behind the transportation as far as like shipping versus suitcases versus, like all the those little aspects related to things that it's long before you ever even set up. And then there's the displays and fixtures that take up weight and space. And how do you make those decisions? And then I'm known for ink. I think that's no secret.
Mhm.
Heavy for what it is, for the amount of money, just to be brutally honest, that goes into it. So do you bring, like people ask me to bring Ackerman, for example, it's a really heavy bottle and it takes up a lot of space. So that's not a practical solution for me unless I'm driving.
And it's not to say that all of a show is determined by profit.
No, it's not.
A lot of it is about marketing and getting your business out there and meeting your customers and being able to talk to your customers and your readers and your viewers and your listeners face to face and to have that personal interaction. But at the same time, there are constraints on what a lot of vendors can do for certain shows. So, for example, what we might bring to DC, which is an easy show for us to drive, will likely be completely different than
Mhm.
what we could bring to a show like California or San Francisco.
For us, it's, like for people who live on the West Coast, this is their home show and it's easier for them to bring a lot of those heavy items or things that take up a lot of space. But for us, we needed the smaller footprint kind of items. And so for this show, for example, I brought ink samples and you guys like on the internet that, the ink sample or something that you see anyway. So bringing ink samples made sense because then people can try lots of different options and it's not so heavy for me to bring. Also, there's only so much lifting I can do personally when it comes to my suitcase. We had to get those suitcases here after.
Kind of a comedy. It was kind of a comedy of errors because neither one of us has flown into LAX much. And if you're familiar with LAX, you'll know that the rideshare service is now a shuttle bus ride away from the terminal. And when you've got three giant suitcases that are 50 pounds and you're trying to lift them and you're by yourself, you're traveling by yourself and you're trying to lift those up onto the bus, it becomes challenging. So this show was an adventure, I think you could say.
Well, you got here ahead of me, so that worked out because you gave me tips and pointers on because you actually said there's no way you're getting these suitcases up those stairs. There's no way. I was like, stairs? There's no way I'm getting a 50.2 pound suitcase. Plus, like, that was just one of the suitcases. What was I going to do? Leave one at the bottom, take it to the
Take
top?
it because you can't leave your merchandise unattended on an airport shuttle bus.
Hey, so
We're telling you all this just to give you all an idea of kind of how much of an adventure some of these shows can be in terms of just getting everything set up on the front end. We both got here 2 full days before the show started. And some of the shows when you're traveling across the country, that's necessary.
this was when we came on like a Wednesday afternoon, and the show technically starts Friday morning. But when I got here, I don't think there was not vendors here when you got here, but by the time I did, by the time I arrived at the hotel, there was probably 15 or 20 pen people set up in the like general bar area already having gotten here and were already hanging out and playing with vintage pens. And I think that happened between the time you got here and when I got here.
I've never done that before. I've never gotten here this early, and it actually was very fun to have a couple extra days with the vendors, with the other vendors, just to hang out and talk because a lot of people ask, I mean, do you interact with the other vendors and other retailers? And the answer to that is yes. Most of us are friends, or at least friendly, and we talk and hang out at shows outside of the normal show operating hours.
I think it's a general camaraderie. But one of the vendors had just switched over his website, and I was helping him today, and we were it we were all just sharing information. It's really not sharing information, but just like talking as friends. And I think that part is something that
Friends and colleagues, and everybody's in this together, and a lot of us are going through the same thing. And sometimes, when you're operating primarily in an online environment, it can be very isolating, and it's good to have that opportunity to talk to other people who are going through the exact same thing that you're going through at the time.
yeah, sometimes it feels like a comedy of errors, and then you find out you're not the only one involved with the comedy. Or maybe we
What all did you bring this weekend in addition to ink samples?
So I brought the 6 ring binder refills. Nagasawa and I'm working with them, and they have some 6 ring Bible size mini six, those kind of things. So I bought quite a bit of the 6 ring
Mhm.
binder refills, and then I brought some Brilio, which is a 6 ring system. I brought rickshaw, and then of course I'm teaching fountain pen basic classes. So I brought a lot of notebooks
Mhm.
that Rodeo was kind enough to supply us with. So that if you're learning how to use a fountain pen, Rhodia supplied my classes with a notebook so that people can see what quality paper's like. And I think that's kind of nice also.
And it's a free class, right? You
Mhm.
you know, you're offering this class to people who have not used fountain pens or who are at a very basic level with fountain pens and inks, and you can come to the pen show and have the opportunity to take a class with Lisa. And Lisa does this at a lot.
The free seminars are something that I'm able to do if I have a little bit of help in the background. And in this particular show, I'm teaching once on Friday, once on Saturday, and I'll have 30 students per class. So you can't teach 30 people who have never touched a fountain pen how to use them on your own. So have volunteers. Then I am super grateful. And at pretty much every show, I've managed to find some volunteers to help me because you just don't know how basic it's going to need to
Mhm.
be. Are we showing people how to put cartridges in, or are we like just back to the cleaning and sugaring?
And I mean, these classes, every show experience is different. I've taught classes too. I normally teach a class. I'm not teaching a class at this particular show, but I normally do teach a class on notebook systems and paper and how the different notebook systems operate. Whether it's Travelers or Lockbee or six ring binder systems. That's something I like to do. I do that from behind the table too. So if you're interested in that, come find me at a show, and I'm happy to walk you through that. But I know in DC I'll be teaching that again at Lisa's Pen Lounge in the basement of the DC show that we've had for the past couple of years. I'm trying to think, what did I bring this time? I brought a couple Rotorfodens. I'm low on the Rotorfodden TGS 25. People have been asking me about that. I have a batch being made. They're getting shipped to me, and they should be back. They should arrive after the show, but in time for the San Francisco show.
Oh, and you brought pencils.
I did bring
Tell me
pencils.
what kind of pencils you brought.
So I brought Musgrave pencils from Tennessee, made just down the road from me in Shelbyville, Tennessee. Shelbyville, properly pronounced. I brought, see, what else did I bring? Brought some Unizentos. I brought a lot of multi-pens, actually. Some Pilot 4-in-1s, some Pilot Legnos, some Japanese multi-pens, the Pilot, Japanese ballpoints, the Pilot S, which is a favorite of mine in both ballpoint and mechanical pencil form. One thing that I try to do is I try to choose some things that I know that nobody else at the show is going to have, or that they're not likely to have, because you do want to stand out at a show, and also try to diversify the experience for the attendees and have stuff there that's not just that they're not just going to 15 tables that are all selling the same thing, because it doesn't make for as fun and diverse of an experience.
Because we do want people to have a diverse experience, because it'd be super easy to bring, like, to end up overlapping with one another, and that's not what we want. Just like me bringing 6-ring refills that are not going to sell. That's an exclusive item.
And a lot of people do focus on their exclusives for pen shows, because the show is the opportunity for you to, showcase what your company's about and your business is about. And that's really what I think people want to see based on the conversations that we've had with customers and attendees.
And for us, it's also, even though we're here as vendors, I really enjoy the interaction with customers so much. Like, I'm here as much to get to visit in person with people as I am to experience the show. So also I've been trying to figure out how to balance that better, I think, because I enjoyed last night.
That
Like, that was nice to get to just sit down and play with pens and paper and just have a good time.
What do we have in store for this weekend? We're going to come up on our time that we have allocated for the first part of this episode, which is kind of our heading in on the front end to the show.
Like talking about beforehand, and like we're sitting here talking about the before, and let's talk about the after.
and during. So, and also the YouTube, if you're watching this on video, this first part, obviously we're recording in the back room. We're going to be taking some video through the weekend, and we'll stitch it together into kind of a montage, kind of like what we did when we went to visit Pilot, but we'll also probably try to have some on-site footage of the pen show in progress and from behind our table. We may even flip our little camera that we're filming on around and film a little video in the middle of the show. Maybe we'll do something like that,
Well,
depending
you
on how it
definitely have
goes.
to do a tour. Go on a tour of the tables for around the rooms, because we do want everybody to get to see what we,
See how it goes, and see what we see from inside the ballroom. And then we'll the second half of this episode, we'll be doing a post-show recap that we'll record after the show's over.
This is an experience post and pre-show. And especially for those of us who never really have time to even take a photo during the show.
I know, and we're now filming a video, not having even set up, and it's giving me a little bit of anxiety, but here we are. I think we should go set up. All right. Bye. Hey everyone, welcome back. It is Sunday evening after the 2026 California Pen Show, and we're back to give you a recap of the weekend. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll see some video that we shot earlier this morning when we walked the floor and visited vendors, including Ian Schoen of Schoen Design, Laurette, which is a vendor from Japan, Kurnow Bookbinding, and many more. So be sure to watch to the end where you'll see these little snippets. But let's talk a little bit about how the show turned out. What were your impressions, Lisa?
You see why my hair is all a mess? It's because I have slept 10 hours in 3 days.
It was
in
a
3 nights.
it was a very busy show weekend. LA Pen Show was very well attended, but it is a big show. And the big shows, as we both said in different forums, like the big shows like DC and San Francisco, and now the Los Angeles Pen Show, they're high energy, at times very stressful events for both vendors and attendees. So we can talk a little bit about that. What was your biggest takeaway from this? Because neither one of us has done this show as a vendor before.
Oh, there's a few takeaways. One is the community is growing. It's growing in an amazing and awesome way. People want to use analog tools. I feel like that was a primary thing that I took away. The other thing is people want to be able to interact and have a personal experience. Don't you feel like that? They want to curate it, like they want to be able to interact, communicate, and receive education and just hang out and everybody get to know each other. But the bigger the show, the harder that is.
Yes, and one thing that I noticed was that probably almost as many people who came by our tables wanted to talk and visit
Mhm.
and ask questions as opposed to simply shop, which
Right.
is different than what you've typically seen in the larger shows like DC and San Francisco, which can tend to turn into shopping events. It was weighed heavily towards stationery,
Mm.
I think,
Uh,
heavier towards stationery than many of the recent pen shows. Would you say that's true?
I think so. I think that it's in some ways such a good thing, but it also means there's a lot of people asking a lot of questions about pens because they want to learn about them because they're coming from the side of journaling and stationery related and stickers and why is she taping? It's so much fun using the journal, but they want a little bit of education and training on this other side of it. Don't you think?
I think so. How did your fountain pens want to go this weekend? How did you get a lot of never evers or people who haven't used fountain pens
A
before?
lot. Well, if they pretty much I would say 90% of the students were either they had just bought a pen like that day and wanted to learn how to use it, or they were going to go buy a pen. At the same time, they were overwhelmed. Like the ones who had already walked the show were overwhelmed, and the classes were full, but people were still in line to get in the show. So we had some lag time on that. And that's something we
It,
need to talk about too is the wait, like the wait times getting it.
it was a show with long lines to get in. There were two ballrooms with attendees lined up and then let in generally once the show opened to the public at 11 o'clock, which is a late start for most pen shows. I believe the DC show and San Francisco both start letting in the public attendees at 9 or 10. Typically, you have an hour of VIP and weekend pass holder shopping before the show opens to the
Hmm.
public. At this show, there was at least, I think there was 2 hours of VIP pass holder shopping before the show opened to the public. That's a little interesting because after Friday, most of the VIPs who, rushed the door, the VIPs, I say VIPs because they're the
The
people who
weekend
bought the
passes.
weekend passes. Most of the weekend pass holders have done their shopping early on Friday morning, first thing on Friday morning to get the super exclusive stuff or the limited stuff that they really wanted to show up for. And then on Saturday and Sunday, you've kind of got 2 really dead hours for the vendors that could have been used to spread out traffic a little bit
Hmm.
with attendees. So this turns into an 11 to 5 show really for most of the shopping. And we did have a couple people come by the table and express their thoughts that it would be great if maybe it was slightly either more spread out or even more curated. I think there is an appetite out there for a more curated, smaller pen show shopping experience. And as you might be able to hear in the background, there's a little bit of background noise with sirens. We are once again recording in space that we are borrowing from the organizers. So this may not be the quietest podcast, but we're keeping things real. It's certainly less crowded and less loud than it was in the show itself.
Absolutely. Yeah. I feel like that there's so many positive takeaways, and then we got to meet some new people, and we got to visit with people who were familiar with us online but weren't familiar with us in person. So those are amazing things that happened. But those very same people really wanted a more personal experience.
So before we get into, well, let's go ahead and get into what we saw. Stuff. What was your favorite thing you saw this weekend?
Uh, I don't know if I could pick one favorite, but I would say that there was,
Stationary Stack?
yeah, yeah.
Addie, we visited with Addie at Stationery Stack. Addie, who makes pen trays and pen holders, and that was a great experience because she was a couple tables down from us.
Yeah, but it was busy enough that we didn't get to see her until
Sunday.
Sunday when we finally walked the show. So we were there Friday and Saturday. We couldn't even see the people across from us, let alone behind us. So you wanted me to see her stuff, and I loved it. I'm like, I'm ready to work with her tomorrow. Man, I loved it.
Her color choices are top notch, the color combinations. And I've had one of the Alfie pen trays for, I don't know, 6 months or so, maybe longer. And it's my go-to. It's the one that I've got on my desk at home, and I really love it. Y'all should check out her stuff. We'll drop a link to it in the show notes. The cases can be made to order, and she works alone, I believe. So they do tend to go out of stock, but be patient. You can oftentimes grab one. She had a pretty good stock of stuff at the show, so I think she may have some new stuff on the website soon.
I feel like she makes the items herself, and I don't know, there's something that I really appreciate about people doing those small batches where they make things themselves.
She's a one person operation, and it was inspiring to see. Hi, Addie, and thanks for visiting with us. We actually have some video of Addie's booth, and we'll show you all that.
Absolutely.
So what else do we find?
Okay, we found a couple of things. You didn't mean to, but you ended up with a leather theme, right?
Yeah, I ended up with a lot of. I didn't know how the show was going to go for me, and it turned out I ended up with a bunch of the leather goods. You can tell me a little bit about this because I think you know more about it.
It's Nagasawa branded.
It's a Nagasawa 5-pin kip leather case, and it's gorgeous. It's black on the outside and red on the inside. So y'all might be able to guess where this is going.
This is very much a Joe color combo. Like this is a really soft kip leather, and it's just exclusive to Nagasawa. It's their own product, and I have dug it for a couple of years, and they do like 3 colors and just a few products, but
Tell everyone a little bit about Nagasawa for those who might be unfamiliar with
yeah.
them, because you've been working with them longer than I have.
So the Nagasawa is a Kobe-based family-owned pen shop. Like it's still owned by the same family, and it's been around since the mid 1880s. And so the family continues to run it, and they have, I think it's 4 locations. So it's not a chain, but it's a little bit of a mini chain in Osaka and Kobe. And they are well known for Kobe ink. I think that's what most people know them for, but they sell so much more. They have created this line of leather goods, and they do limited edition and runs of these leather goods
And
too.
the leather goods, there's also pen wraps and different pen cases. I mean, this is really beautiful leather. I've gotten back into leather goods really this year with my Relio, and in addition to the plotters and everything that I use. But I think I've gained a new appreciation for it. This is super soft, and I like soft leather. It's very nice, and I'm looking forward to putting this into rotation. I've also got a larger one too. So
It's awesome. I really love them a lot. I love how they function. And then we ran across another small maker of leather,
uh,
and you,
a new notebook company called Imperfect Concepts, which is out of Los Angeles. And they were kind enough to give me this fold over A5 journal. It's burgundy leather, another theme with, they foil stamp my initials into it. And I'm going to be testing it out. It's a nice, smooth burgundy purple, kind of more of a purple burgundy leather with a green band. And it works on a cord-based system similar to other notebook systems like Lockbee, Travelers. You can slide the refill notebooks in through the back, and probably it will hold 1 or 2. So I'm going to be testing this one out as well. I always like discovering new brands. It's why I like to go to shows.
I think that was one thing I would say I could take away from this is there was more new small makers and creators of different kinds of products at this show, which I really appreciated, even down to the stickers.
And it's good that it's a West Coast show because for both of us, it's a different group of makers than what we normally see at some of the pen shows that we frequent. Most of the time.
Yeah.
This is a little bit of a different group, even from San Francisco, which was refreshing to see. And it's a lot of fun to sometimes go and just meet an entirely new crowd of people. So did we talk about this? Do we have any questions that we got over the weekend that stood out in our mind from attendees
I feel
that
like
we
there
wanted
was
to answer?
so many questions that it's hard to know where to start. But one of the bigger questions I feel like that came up was really how do I use these six string and these binder systems in general. Notebook systems was a conversation that I had multiple times, and I heard we had tables side by side, and I heard people talking to you about some of the brands you had brought as well.
I brought Lockbee, and then I had a couple of handmade journal covers that a friend of mine in Nashville had brought, and you'll be hearing more about those in the future. He doesn't have his company set up yet, so I'm not going to publicize it before he's ready. But there was a lot of interest in customizable notebooks systems, whether it's 5 ring or whether it's 6 ring. Sorry, it's been a long weekend. Whether they're 6 ring binders or whether they're your cord-based systems or whether they're just standard notebook covers. This to me seemed like a very paper focused
That's
show.
maybe what, yeah, it was paper focused. I received a lot of questions about paper and how they interact with the inks. So I will say that there's numerous people came to me when they were wanting to talk about ink and said, I already understand paper. So there was a combination of people wanting to understand paper systems more. And there was those who were comfortable with paper, but not fountain pens. Did you feel like, what did you feel like came up the most?
I think on my end, what came up the most was, well, first of all, do you have a Zento signature?
Oh, I still don't know this
No,
on Friday.
the answer with me was no. Lisa actually had 5 or 6 of them, but throughout the weekend we had people swarming the tables trying to get their hands on the Zento signature, which for those of you who aren't familiar with it, it's a kind of a cult gel pen out of Japan with a magnetic cap, and it's a very nice pen. Not entirely sure it justifies the level of crazy that it's attracted, from several different segments. We get a lot of questions about the Zento signature. Otherwise, for me, it was more, I got a lot of questions about note cards, about index cards, because I brought the Natsu cards with me to the show. And the number of people who saw index cards and were asking, what is a fountain pen friendly index card? I can't find a fountain pen friendly index card. That kind of surprised me at the level of interest that people are seeing in index cards.
I did hear, because I watched your table. And so I was getting asked about your pencils. Pencils is something that you have subject sensitive knowledge of, and I was getting asked and I couldn't answer those questions. I was like, wait for that. They wouldn't just ask me about something I know. They had to ask pencils.
That's just kind of how it always goes. Like, people will ask a question like, whether it's, you've got 2 tables full of stuff and they're like, well, where is X? And it's like, well, I can't bring the entire store. People always tend to ask you a question that you don't know the answer to, or Murphy's Law, about the thing you didn't bring. But I would say we did get a lot of questions about pencils. I, for the first time, brought a lot of wood case pencils to the pen show. And that was interesting to see the reception because there's a lot of pencil fans out there. It was a little surprising.
I mean, I only would be handling yours for like 10 minutes. And I swear, as soon as you had left, it would be like, what's the difference in this brand and this brand? And I'm like, oh, one's made in Tennessee, one's made not.
It was.
You're welcome for that. I don't know if I helped her.
Well, a lot of people took Musgrave pencils home, and shout out to Musgrave. They're my hometown pencil company, and we represented them here. We tried to represent them here. Hopefully we did a good job. So
I feel like you did. You did better than I did.
Well, before we get too delirious, we're probably going to cut this one off. Be sure to watch the video if you're watching on YouTube and following along, because we did do a fair bit of filming at the show, walking around and talking to some of the vendors who were very gracious to talk to us and explain what they brought. And you'll get a sense, if you've never been to a pen show, of what it's all about. So until next time, thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Hey, everyone. We managed to make our way into the ballroom the night before the California Pen Show. Pretty sure we're not supposed to be in here, but we are anyway. And we will be located right there in the center. I think this is us here. Right here. Right? Over here? Well, we're going to be somewhere in the middle of the room.
Yeah, we're one of these two.
Hey, everyone. So in this clip, I'm going to pan around the ballroom here while the ballroom is empty before everybody is set up. And in the next clip, you'll see what the show looks like when everyone's set up and in place.
you sold some of them.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Now you got to go make more.
Yeah, that's right.
Don't forget the goodie boxes do well.
Yeah, we'll
the
try
aesthetic that we're all looking for.
to try to.
Sometimes we want fun. They did have some yellow trays
You know,
as
this is
well.
our last.
So yeah, there's velvet.
Museum.
I really want to. Thank you. This is so soft.
It's really nice.
Bed, right? Like
Yeah.
really like a soft couch. Yeah. I was very picky about the fabric. I wanted to make sure that our pens are taken care of. Like I personally want my things to look nice, but I also want it ready to go on my desk. So that's why I made the Alfie pen tray.
Yeah, and then
You know, the Bungu box table, they're here from Tokyo.
Tokyo, yep, straight from Tokyo.
We'll do a quick overview of the table. We have the exclusive Sailors,
Yep.
the Esterbrook.
Hand painted Year of the Horse Makie pen.
Wow.
We have Van Gogh Sunflower. We have our collab with Esterbrook, as well as the Kabayaki KOP that comes with urushi chopsticks.
And then, of course, we have the ink, too.
But I want to also feature our inkwell. This is great for glass
Wow.
pens to dip in, as well as to enjoy a little cocktail. Not a cocktail, a little cognac while you're writing your journal. Of course, our inks. We got our special original heel state bottles that are great for when the quantity runs low. You can tilt it and collect into this side.
It looks like they've been busy because a lot of the colors are sold out here on Sunday morning. But thank you very much. Thanks for the quick tour. So we're here at the Laurette's table at the California Pen Show, and we're going to show you an interesting fountain pen design which incorporates a fidget spinner into the barrel of the pen, so you can think as you write. So Laurette's does pens which specializes in knurling, and so you have knurled aluminum and also knurled ebonite here, which are both really unique pens. We saw them for the first time at the DC Pen Show last year. We really enjoyed getting to know this brand.
It's a cup swing. That's nice.